Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and Diablo 4 Season 10. Today we're talking about the uniques of this season because things have changed slightly. There's a new unique pool for each and every boss. The unique pool from the Infernal Hordes has been ripped out and put into the general loot pool of all of the lair bosses. There are new uniques in this season, so you want to know where to get them from. Not to mention, in this season, they introduced the whole invulnerability phase breakthrough mechanic, where you can break through shields to prevent them ever going invulnerable, which makes farming these bosses so much easier. And of course, you've got Chaos Uniques, which, by the way, if you want a dedicated video for Chaos Uniques, how that works, how to best farm them, we have a video about that on the channel right now. Anyway, anytime a unique does drop, might be a Chaos Unique. But either way, we're going to cover the whole thing, so let's get into it. Starting with the lair boss system, as a quick recap of that, a couple seasons back they changed the system for the bosses and what you do to kill them. So now you can go to the location where any of these bosses are and kill them for free. No summoning materials needed. However, you do need the summoning materials to actually open the chest that spawns in after the kill. As you can see from this chart, we have different tiers. We have tier 1, which is Varshan, Grigoire, Beast in the Ice, Lordseer, and Urivar. All of these require their own key special material. So you need Malignant Hearts for Varshan. You need 12 of them per open. If you're ever not sure about how many mats you need for each open, you can hover over it in game and it tells you. For tier 2 bosses, you're going to need 3 of that material. Shard of Agony for Duriel, Pincushion Doll for Andariel, Abhorrent Hearts for the Harbinger. But there's also Stygian Stones, which can be changed at an alchemist into any of those to help further get the drops you need. As usual, after any of these boss kills, you might have a surprise ambush from Belial, a little baby version that's not too difficult to kill. This basically gives you a second drop of the boss you just killed, which is fantastic, and gives you Betrayer Husks, of which you need 2 to summon one Belial, Lord of Lies, the main boss. So anytime you get an ambush from Belial, you should be happy. Then you have Belial at the end, with 2 of his Betrayer Husks to summon him, and his overall best loot pool. So each lair boss has its own unique pool. If you're after a specific unique, you need to go kill a specific boss, more than likely. Be aware that it's best done in a party. Despite the fact that you all need your own materials to open your own chest, the more people in the party, the more drops actually occur. So it's still best to do it in a full group. It's also best to do it in higher torment levels, and the higher tier boss, the more chance you have at Mythic Uniques. If you want to find these lair bosses, it's very simple. They have a special icon, which is like a special door with a red skull over it, and you can actually see which boss is in there by hovering over it. It'll tell you which boss is in there and information about what's possible to drop in there, and even the lair keys you can require and the amount of them. So if you're ever not sure, it's there in the game. The awesome change about this one is your ability to just click on the location and directly teleport to them like a dungeon. Right, let's talk about how to get each lair key. For Varshan, you're going to need Malignant Hearts, 12 of them. These come by completing your Whispers in the World and handing in those Grim Favors at the tree, or, which was nicely quality of life changed, at one of the crows in town. You get a Whispers cache, and when you open it, you'll get some hearts. You can also find the Gross Debtors as well after completing world bosses and other events. They sometimes spawn in, you kill them, you get some hearts as a little bonus. For Grigoire, you've got the Living Steel. You're going to need 12 of these as well. These are dropped from any chest that you open in the Helltide. Obviously, the bigger and more expensive, the more you can get. So doing that mystery chest for 250 is always worth it for this, but you still get some from the cheaper ones. Next we have Exquisite Blood for Lordseer. Again, you need 12. We get these from world bosses, Legion events, the Blood Maiden Helltide. You can also sometimes get them from Whispers and even mercenary bartering. Next we have Beast in the Ice. You're going to need Distilled Fear, 12 of these. This comes from the Nightmare Dungeons, which we'll be doing more in this season to be fair because of that modifier, where we're after the Chaos Rifts for rep and all that. But complete a Nightmare Dungeon, you'll get some of these Distilled Fear. Next we have Judicator Masks. You're going to need 12 of these as well. These are for the Urivar boss, and you get these from a bunch of different content like the Tree of Whispers and World Boss Kills. For the greater or tier 2 bosses, it's pretty straightforward. You get these keys from earlier tier 1 bosses. So for Duriel, you need Shard of Agonies, 3 of them, and you'll get them when you kill Varshan and Grigoire and open his chest. For Andariel, you need Pincushion Dolls, 3 of them. These drop from Beast in the Ice and Lordseer. And then finally for the Harbinger of Hatred, you need to go kill Urivar to get 3 Abhorrent Hearts. Don't forget, any of these can drop Stygian Stones, which can then be taken to the Alchemist and turned into any of these other keys you might need. Finally, for Belial, Lord of Chaos, you need 2 Betrayer Husks, which again come from the surprise ambush of Belial. So any boss you're doing, Belial might show up as a surprise ambush, and if you kill him, you'll get some of those Betrayer Husks. So a bit more RNG, but awesome when it happens. Now, there are two other options in terms of the Undercity and Mercenaries. With Mercenary bartering, you might just be offered summoning materials. And to be fair, you will get some by progressing the reputation and the season journey as well, but that's like a one-time thing. The other good option is the Tribute of Titans from the Undercity, which basically just rewards you with lair boss hall keys. You might get a Tribute of Titans when killing the lair bosses in general, so it feeds into itself, which is a handy thing. Right, time to talk about specific unique target farming, going through all the bosses and what their loot pool is. For this, I've created a slide with that on screen that we'll just have a look at, and you can pause the video as we go. So every time you kill one of these, you're gonna get one of these unique drops, as well as general drops, and the more people in your party, the more you get from their specific unique pool. We begin with the new general drops. These can drop from any of the lair bosses. So first up, we have the weapons list. So there they are. Then we have the armor list, which is slightly bigger by comparison. And then we have the jewelry list. Any of these can drop from any lair boss. There's the big change in Season 10. Right, first up we have Varshan, and these drops are possible from Varshan. Do note that the new uniques here are for Barbarian. We have the saber there. And then for Necromancer, we get the Gospel here too. Next we have Grigoire. Be aware then that the new unique here is for Spiritborn, the Hesher item. Then we have Lord Zir. The new unique here is for Rogue, that's the Orphan Maker. Moving on, we have Beast in the Ice. The Druid is the new unique here, it's the Kilt of Blackwing. And lastly, for the tier 1 bosses, we have Urivar. We have some repeat access to new uniques here, like the Spiritborn, as a more general drop pool. That brings us to tier 2. Be aware that the tier 2 bosses have changed slightly. Before they were consistent across the 3 with the same drops. Now they are slightly different, with some having overlap with the others. 2 of them might offer the same unique you're after, but the 3rd won't, that kind of thing. So it's important to familiarize yourself. So first up, here is Duriel's new loot pool, which doesn't seem to actually have any of the new uniques. Then we have Andariel, which does have the location for the new Sorcerer unique, the Galvanic Azurite. Moving on to the Harbinger of Hatred, that also is the location that we get the Sorcerer new unique, the Galvanic Azurite. So yeah, that's the drop pools. Don't forget that Belial always lets you choose the loot pool of any boss, as if you just killed any of that lair boss list. But don't forget that on top of that, he has the highest mythic unique chance of all the bosses. So if you're after stuff that drops from Duriel, it's better to actually kill Belial and pick Duriel's loot pool, because you'll have better chances of mythic uniques while you're farming Duriel. But obviously Belial's the most unreliable one to get keys for, so you know, up and down. Now, an important update for farming lair bosses. We used to suggest, say, tier 1 bosses for hardcore mythic farming, if you can't do Belial, because of the invulnerability phases that slowed things down painfully in that context. Now, they've made it so they don't have invulnerability phases unless you don't match a DPS check, where basically at different phases, they're going to get a shield, and that shield is bigger the lower health they are at the different phase. If you break through that shield's health within 5 seconds, the boss basically doesn't go into an invulnerability phase. So, if you want to farm mythic uniques super hard, well then obviously you want to do Belial every single time, but he's the hardest one to summon. Easier than that will be the greater or tier 2 bosses like Duriel and so on, and if you have enough DPS to break through their shield even on Torment 4 before they go into invulnerability, then that's the best way to do it. If you don't have enough DPS to do that on Torment 4, but you can kill the tier 1 initiate bosses before they go invulnerable, well then they'd be the best option. But overall, imagining you can one-shot anything, Belial's the best target, Duriel, Andariel, or Harbinger of Hatred under that. Naturally, you found the boss that you have the resources for. In this video, I should also mention Astaroth, which was a new boss introduced in the last season. He's found at the end of an escalating nightmare dungeon, and is not part of the lair boss system. You can get uniques from him in a more general way, but if you're trying to target farm, he's not really the guy. They have mentioned he might work into the lair boss system in the future, but that hasn't happened yet. Also, of course, there's a new boss, Bartuc, for this season in the Infernal Hordes. You can find him in any Infernal Hordes as long as you're in Torment levels, and you have 666 Aether in that run to actually summon him instead of doing the Council. Once again, he has more of a general unique pool, and you're mainly there for Chaos Uniques more than anything, though he's incredibly worth farming in this season for the purpose of Chaos Uniques. But if you want the dedicated video on that, we have it on the channel. But yeah, that's my overview of the lair boss systems and all the information I think you need to know. If that was helpful, do drop a like. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.